So the way that I found out that my father had passed was through an internet article.
Oh.
So I woke up to go to school that day, and my aunt, who lived with us at the time, told us that our parents had been in a car accident, but they were in the hospital.
Mm.
And those were instructions from the television network that my dad was a writer for, like the major television network in Brazil. It's called Globo. Somehow they thought that we should be prepared slowly to receive these really bad news. But I was very smart. I already knew how to connect to the internet, and that was the first thing that I did. I logged in, and the homepage on our computer was a news page, and it was the headline news that my dad had died in a car accident. And I read that and saw photos of it. And so at that moment, I was extremely angry and I felt very betrayed. And it immediately ignited rebelliousness in me,
Mm.
where nobody could tell me what to do. But I feel like for the first couple of years, I was still very young. I was pretty much still a child. So it was easier to control me, per se. But once I hit like puberty, I was 14 years old, then nobody could tell me what to do anymore. Um, and my coping process pretty much was to start using drugs and start drinking and live my own life. Nobody can tell me what to do,
Yeah.
you know, and that's how everything began pretty much.
I know you're like me, you're a big rock music fan.
Definitely.
Like in reflect, I look back like Motley Crue, one of my all-time favorite bands. Guns N' Roses, Nikki Sixx, Duff
Yeah.
McKagan, the Idols. I'm a shitty bass player, but I play bass. And it's ironic for me now to like reflect back and go, boy, I was kind of watching those guys, especially like Nikki pounding a bottle of whiskey on stage, and then to come like this weird full circle. Do you kind of looking back go your love for that go that was a reflection of your rebellion, or it kind of fueled the rebellion like in a symbiotic kind of way?
I would say both. I was a rock fan since I was pretty much 11 years old. I think my dad was still alive. I was already listening to rock and roll. I think the first album that I ever listened to, I found it in my parents' stuff, was Voodoo Lounge, Rolling Stones. So pretty much grew up being a rock child and looked up to rock stars, looked up to Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Marilyn Manson and several bands of the 90s as well. Papa Roach, one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
And pretty much they were my idols, drugs, sex, rock and roll. This is what rock stars do. This is the life I'm going to live. And it was both what I already was myself and the influence that they had on me. And it is really funny to look back because so many of them are sober now. And I'm glad for that because now I have that as an example as well.
Yeah, me too. I haven't spoken to him yet on this podcast, but I was able to speak to Nikki Sixx about that, and he kind of got a good chuckle out of it and was just kind of like, keep working it, man, keep the path. So
Yeah, absolutely.
life is odd in that one.
Rock and roll was what life was about. Like
Yeah.
that's what I aimed to be. I wanted my life to be like the life of these rock stars in my posters.
This is the Knocking Doors Down podcast, featuring celebrities, experts, and everyday people who have overcome adversities, including addiction, mental health, and trauma, to live purposeful lives. And that's what Knocking Doors Down is all about.